Guys, I think I have the volume a little bit more under control. Let me know in the comments if you think the game is too loud and my voice is too low, or my voice is too high and the game is too low. Just let me know in the comments. I just gave it a quick test and it sounded alright, so I'm not really sure. I'll give this video a watch afterwards. But yeah, hopefully this is a good, perfect setting compared to the last couple videos. The Ushiyama family members were relaxing here and there around their waiting room. A light buffet-style meal had been set up, but it was a bit stale and not particularly appealing. Even so, those ferocious kids seemed to find it intensely interesting. The cousins had set up a camp around it with Mariah at the center. The adult siblings also had a different corner. Perhaps because of Kenzo's absence, everyone seemed to be a little more relaxed. Leon, where did you go, and who is that? Mother, I was entertaining this guest of ours. Well, this is my mother, Nasui. No introductions needed. Just tell me what you have to say. Did you say something? No, he said nothing. This is Will's son. It seems he knew the deceased. With a smile, Leon casually smoothed over Will's words. He wants to know more about Beatrice. Do you know anything about her mother? Leon, the departed, is an individual to whom he owed a great debt. Nothing more, nothing less. This is funeral, a ceremony for the head to repay his benefactor for all he received while that person still lived. That is what I've been told, and there is nothing more to it than that. Thanks, Mother. Well, that's all my mother knows. Nasui was eager to deny the scandal about Beatrice not being Kenzo's mistress. However, she also had enough space to realize that the scandal was probably true. Picking up that Nasui was in a bad mood and didn't want to talk about this anymore, Leon brought an end to that conversation before Will could say something rude again. Will belongs to the family, so you're telling me to follow the family's rules. Speak in the manner appropriate for the guests of the family. Let me be the medium for all of your conversations. I ask that you follow those 2 rules. I'll work on that. The Master's Birkenstell witch or whatever has dragged us into is a real pain. Because of this, I am willing to help you, but we're equal partners in this job, and you best not forget that. And here I thought you were just some well-bred, rich kid. Seems you could speak up after all. I must be prepared to shoulder the Ushiyama family's future after all. Got it. Let's solve this crime together, Watson. I'm glad I can help. I wouldn't want to keep your dear cat Diana waiting. Won't she need to be fed soon? I gave her extra food today so she should be good for a while. I'm surprised you realized Diana was a cat. I figured it'd be just a bit too eccentric for her to be a human woman who scratches at sofas when you keep her waiting. So, will you talk to anyone, everyone? Those ones over there are across the siblings, right? From left to right to left, there's Aunt Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi. Over there is Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Kyrie. And over there is Ushiyama Rosa. When she was a girl, she once got lost in the forest and bumped into a woman calling herself Beatrice in a hidden mansion. I know I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but you really do know everything, don't you? So you know about that story too? I managed to overhear her saying that today. It looked as though it was bothering her, so pretended not to hear. Real model student you are, introduced me. I want to ask about it. You're asking this of the model student who pretended not to hear because it just might be a painful topic. Even this outrageous arrogance is nothing compared to Kenzo. After muttering this several times, mentally Leon shrugged and nodded at Will. Oh, it's our successor, Sama, and who is this? Oh, Aunt Eva, this is Will's son. He's for the departed. But who cares about that? Tell me everything you know about... He says he wants to know what sort of relationship the Ushiyama family has had with the deceased. Leon spoke with a bright smile after pinching Will's butt. Will silently protested as though saying, I saw that coming, but damn, that hurt. But Leon just played dumb and smiled at Eva like a model student. Well, even if you say relationship with the Ushiyama family, it probably makes more sense to say her relationship with father. No need to beat around the bush. She was father's mistress. If you call her that, Natsuki-san will yell at you again. He's indebted to her, right? Yep, that's right. Well, there you have it. I had no interest in anyone but Rosa. I do believe that you said you met with Beatrice. This whole time Rosa had been hanging her head. The aunt's word made her shoulders quiver. She just suddenly came out with it today. It's a bit hard to believe. It's the truth. I killed Beatrice. Perfect, our work here is finished. Don't get ahead of yourself. Rosa broke down crying and laid her head on the table. Kyrie and Hideyoshi tried to console her. Rokujima is covered by a dense forest. We only know about one tiny portion of it, just the mansion, the rose garden, and the little path that leads to the harbor. For years, there's been stories about how Dad built a hidden mansion somewhere in the vast forest that no one knew about, and that he had a mistress living there. Rosa-san probably stumbled on the hidden mansion by chance. However, what does this have to do with Aunt Rosa killing Beatrice? If I hadn't taken her out with me, she never would have died. She was so innocent like a chick. I took her out and she just followed along obediently. She stayed right behind me, trusting me completely, and because I made her take such a dangerous path. Did you make her because you were hoping she would fall from the cliff? I never meant to do that. I just thought she'd like to see the ocean. No, it just looked like the path would be hard to walk, and I thought it would be easier going if you went down the cliff first. That's not what it means to kill someone. It was an accident. An accident she never would have had if it hadn't brought her with me, right? It's my fault. And then I abandoned her when she was covered in blood and ran home. It isn't your fault. Beatrice had never seen the ocean before. You showed her that for the first time ever. She's probably so excited that she just happened to take a bad step. And how can you know that? Beatrice will thank you for what you did, but she would never hate you. Really? Is that really true? She's the one who begged to see the world outside the fence, right? That was only for a short while. You made that dream of hers come true. If I were Beatrice, I thank you for that short bit of time. If she knew that you've been suffering all this time for her, she'd probably feel sorry for you. Beatrice is grateful for what you did. You're the one who taught her that the sea is blue. Is that true? I guarantee it. Will made that statement openly and boldly. It wasn't clear how Rosa took those words. However, it had apparently been enough to remind Rosa to take a handkerchief out of her pocket and wipe her eyes with it. Thank you. Those are the words Beatrice is whispering to you even now. Thank you. Rosa wiped her eyes with the handkerchief one more time and hung her head. It no longer looked like a fit of a sobbing, but more as though she was speaking of Beatrice of that day within her heart. One last time. You really have no problem making claims you could never back up, don't you? Back up? Is that really necessary to comfort a woman? It seems I underestimated you. How many years did it torment Rosa? Now finally, she would probably be able to face that innocent, smiling Beatrice who had seen the ocean for the first time in her life. She was the only one who could forgive Rosa, and now the two of them could finally speak to... I don't know who you are, but thank you. I wonder if she'll forgive me. You have never worried about it for nearly 20 years. That's far too long. She'll tell you that you've suffered more than enough already. That's right, Aunt Rosa. The sadder you are, the sadder Beatrice would be. You too. Thank you. I don't know if I'll be forgiven, but I'll keep on speaking to my heart to see whether she'll forgive me or not. Thanks, you too. Sorry for showing you such an embarrassing side of me. And I'm sorry to say this right after saying something so pretty, but I want you to talk to me and tell me what happened back then. Well, son. Thanks, but it's fine. I'll talk. Hiding this and keeping quiet about it for so long might have been my greatest sin. Exactly when was it that you met Beatrice? Upon hearing this question, Rosa closed her eyes lightly, reaching back to a past she didn't want to remember. It was about 20 years ago. 20 or wait, maybe it's been 19 or 18 years ago. I tried to force myself to forget for so long that I've nearly forgotten that part completely. Oh, I gotta sneeze. It should have been 1967, when I've had a guarantee that the dread truth in the third game. That's right, it was probably about 1967. I can't remember what happened as clearly as a picture. I'll never forget. If it's stuff you don't feel like you have to tell us, yes, clear us a picture if you don't mind. Ugh, damn it, that hurts, Leon. What does? the time, I was in a state of shock since my tutor told my mother about something that was supposed to be a secret. On that day, I became reckless and I kept on running deeper and deeper into the forest. This tale has been told in a previous fragment. Back when Rosa was just a kid, she went deep into the forest, found a hidden mansion, and met with a mysterious woman who called herself Beatrice. But that forest is so thick, even pushing your way through a bit of it is hard, right? Myself, to think that I made it so far in such a dense forest. I was tormented by twigs and sharp leaves over and over again. However, that wasn't enough to bother me on that day. After all, I wanted to disappear to the forest and vanish forever. If by some chance there really was a witch's mansion in the depths of the forest, I hoped that she might take me to some paradise, or else turn me into a frog and make me a resident of the forest. So then you reached the hidden mansion in Guadorian and met a woman who called herself Beatrice. Yes, I met her. Was that Beatrice the same as the one in the portrait? Yes, they were the same person. Beautiful blue eyes, golden hair, a black dress. It truly was the person in the portrait. When father first had it hung, I realized that the 20 years I spent trying to forget must have been seemed just as long to father, if not even longer, and I become even more fearful of my sin. Stop there. Are we sure that this is the same Beatrice that Rosa's son met? Immediately, Kyrie spoke the question that Will had been thinking of. It would be too rash to assume that the Beatrice Kenzo met and the one Rosa met were the same person. The time and generation didn't match up. Beatrice is supposed to be that lady of leisure who lent out all the gold shortly after the war, right? By using Beatrice's gold as a foundation, father revived the Ushomiya family and got super rich. Then he bought Rokenjima and moved over. Rosa saw meeting her must have been at least 10 years after that. A woman who could do as she pleased with 10 tons of gold could hardly be some little girl, and 10 more years passed before she met Rosa. Rosa, about how old did the Beatrice she met look? She looked older than I was at the time, but even so, it looked as though she might just be reaching adulthood. Yeah, she's the sort of age of Beatrice in the portrait. Did she look middle-aged or past her prime? If I had to call her an adult or child, she was clearly closer to being a child. There's no way she was middle-aged. And as we have the Beatrice you met and the Beatrice who gave father the gold, but their ages don't match. In other words, they're different people. Different people who look very similar and have the same name. It might have been her daughter, a kid who would obviously end up looking like her mother. It's Beatrice's daughter. It is possible. Perhaps father had an illegitimate child with Beatrice who gave him the gold, and then Rosa bumped into the Beatrice the second, and that way the ages fit just fine. I see. In other words, there are two people who can be called Beatrice. Kenzo secretly raised his mistress as a child in a hidden mansion, and it made sense. Everyone nodded agreeing. However, Will's expression was still slightly unsatisfied, and he scratched his head. So it would seem that this funeral exists for the two Beatrice he couldn't mourn because they were kept secret. Rosa, I know you probably don't want to remember, but tell me about that accident. After Beatrice fell, was she still breathing? No, her eyes were open wide. She fell upside down at first and knocked her head against a sharp crack on a rocky beach. She fell from such a height, her skull had split and caved inwards. That beautiful golden hair was stained red with blood almost instantly. That was the sort of wound that clearly showed that she was dead. Yes, I saw the insides of her cracked head. It had caved in deep enough to fit your fist inside it. No one could be naive enough to see that still hoped she was alive. Well, do you really need to ask any more? That's enough for the time of the accident. What did you do afterwards? I dashed away at full speed. I can't say I was thinking about calling for help. I wanted to escape from that place as fast as I could. Half crazed, sobbing, and out of breath, I kept on running out about random. Eventually, I came across a familiar Leon statue. Alright, the one from the chapel. No, the one behind it. The mansion, I couldn't tell anyone, and I didn't want to. I stayed quiet until nightfall. It was so horrible of me. If I had hurried and told someone, they might have had brought her the first aid kit, she might have been saved. How was the first aid kit going to help with a crushed cranium? You didn't kill her. Don't worry about that anymore. Then what did you do next? That night I turned over in my bed so many times I couldn't sleep. Late that night I quietly called Genji-san on the phone and told him. What did he say? He told me to let him handle everything and to speak of this to no one. I spent the next several days terrified that father would call for me and scold me brutally, but he didn't. Genji-san kept on doing this job quietly just like normal. His father stayed locked up in his study not knowing any of it. At the very least, none of us ever heard about it. Genji-san probably managed to clean everything up nicely. After all, they wouldn't let knowledge of that child go public. Even if she wasn't a legitimate child, she was still a daughter by blood. It must have been enough to hold a real funeral for her. I suppose that's why we're having this funeral. And then, that's all I know. And that's all I know too. I'm not hiding anything now, so I told you everything. I swear it. Will scratched his head, letting his gaze wander. It had taken Rosa a lot of determination to make this confession, but it was nothing particularly special for Will. It apparently been little more than a review of information he already knew. Thanks, Aunt Rosa. Is that enough for you, Will? Are you satisfied? That's enough. It was a nice review. To Will, Rosa's memories who gave all the information that was already known. This was the first time he'd heard all of that about her running back to the mansion after Beatrice fell to her death, but none of it was particularly surprising. Apparently, Rosa didn't know any more than this. If he wanted to learn more than what was in the fragments Birkenstow gave him, he would need to find new testimony. Leon, tell to him. It looks like we won't get anywhere without asking the man himself. Where are you going? I have to cool my head and organize my thoughts. Don't follow. Well then, pardon me. Please take your time. After giving an elegant bow, Leon made a face, tongue sticking out. Unless Will had eyes on the back of his head, he couldn't have seen this last bit. Will returned to the chapel by himself. The cold air and monotonous sound of the rain were comforting. So how's the game going? And then he had to come here for a little peace and quiet. As soon as he let a sigh of relief, that voice rang out. That's my line. It was as though she had been sitting there all along. Birkenstow appeared on top of the altar once more. Beatrice's altar must have been extremely comfortable. Butler annoyed me over and over with his incompetence. And compared to him, so it's much more relaxing to watch you work. Unlike Ushamiya, Butler's games have nothing standing in my way. It's easy. That sort of game has already ended. Tales can be enjoyed twice. First you love them, and then you tear out through the guts. So I'm a butcher now. So, do you think you figured out who killed Beatrice? Rosa's confession is because I already know from her previous fragment there was no brand new information. We're still at square one. Unless you show me a kid who tells us what really happened, we won't get any further than this. Who told me that arguing with Kenzo and persuading him to spill the beans is supposed to be part of this game? That'd be fatally boring. Kenzo refuses to speak of the truth in himself to keep him protected by his castle, but it wouldn't be any fun to have that stand in the way of your game. I won't torture. It's not my style. I know, as a game master, I will grant you power so that you can get the truth from Kenzo, of course. Still wearing shoes, Birkenstow stepped into the casket and picked up one of the flowers that had been set as his offerings. Too hard as those scattering fluff went dandelion. Then a single petal broke up and drifted down towards Will, no longer gold, but with the shine of a transparent crystal. The detective's authority. What a pathetic ability. No, this is an invitation to the grandstands. Theater-going authority that's supposed to be forbidden without authorization from the Senate. I'm the one giving it on my game board. Who's gonna stop me? The other crystal flower petals danced in the wind. They wouldn't fly away until Will accepted it. He remembered how useless it was to argue with witches and snatched it up. When he did, the petal flashed brightly for an instant, melted into Will's palm and disappeared. Entertain me if you can and try and enjoy yourself. You must also be interested in seeing what the guts of Beatrice's game board looks like, right? Not really. After Will's rude answer, Birkenstow vanished into thin air, leaving behind an obnoxious laugh. After clicking his tongue, Will turned around unhappily. When he did, it felt as though his gaze had crossed that of a shadow standing right in front of him near that door that led outside. Who is it? Pardon me, I heard a voice, so I wondered who it was. Shannon, so you're running the reception desk this time. Yes, I've been taking it in turns with Cannon to run the reception desk. And Cannon? A short while ago, he was ordered by Leon, someone take a break, so he's rested now. So you don't know Leon either? Huh? No, that's not. Umineko Leon is successor to the one who wears the silver ring. Why are you stumbling over that name when you worked here for 10 years? That... Don't worry, I don't recognize Leon either. Cross is supposed to be the successor. Jessica is supposed to be his only child. There hasn't been a single fragment with anyone named Leon in the Umineko family. Like that Will didn't recognize Leon either. Shannon relaxed. Apparently she was a bit relieved to find that she wasn't going crazy by herself. However, her expression quickly grew uncertain once more. Where is this place? I think it's the Umineko family chapel. However, something feels different about it. Also, I never knew that someone named Leon Sama existed, and yet Madame Cross Sama and Master and Milady and all of us all talk as though it's perfectly natural. I just don't understand what's happening. Leon is a piece placed by Birkenstell. She also said that in order to place that piece, she switched over to a larger cat box. On top of that, it seems this world isn't a proper world, but one made out of several different fragments sewn together. It's as though this is a special stage set up specifically for this game. I'm sure she's nodding at my thoughts right now, laughing and chomping down popcorn. How long have you worked here in this world? 10 years, I see. So it really is a special stage. After all, right when I entered the chapel, I spotted Kenzo. Since Shannon had been working here for 10 years, this world takes place in 1986. In that case, Kenzo shouldn't exist. However, he definitely was here a few minutes ago. Birkenstell promised that all the information needed for her reasoning was gathered here. It must have been really packed it together to fit everything in. I see, so it really is a special stage. You served the Umineko family for many years, so just how much do you know about Beatrice? I know that Master loved her deeply, but other than that, is that all? And they say that she's the best of Rokujima's night. That's right, the name of the ghost room to run to the mansion night after night is also Beatrice. That brings the number of Beatrices to 3. The first is the Beatrice from more than 30 years ago who said they had given Kenzo the gold. The second is the Beatrice from 20 years ago who met Rosa. The third is the Beatrice with the ghost stories who was rumored to be the master of the night on Rokunjima. Furudo Erika's reasoning was probably correct. It started out as a legend of evil spirits on Rokunjima. Later on, elements such as candles occult hobbies, the name and the portrait of the mysterious woman Beatrice and Yevdev got mixed in, and it was all integrated into the legend of... Then the darkness of the night gained the personality of a witch. That's the third Beatrice. This became the veil for the serial murders. Apparently she didn't understand a word of Will's sudden monologue. Shannon tried to follow along, but she seemed to be having difficulty. Don't waste your time trying to understand. You'll just get a headache. My apologies. Kennen doesn't know Leon either, right? Yes, Kennen was the same as me. Shannon and Kennen, is it? Call Kennen over here. I want to talk to the pair of you about something. When Will said these words, Shannon's face went blank and her eyes went wide. My apologies. We aren't allowed to leave the reception desk unmanned, so I can't leave to go get him. Then find a replacement and have him take over the reception desk until you get back. You and me and Kennen. We the 3 people who don't know Leon need to talk. We've been told that one person is enough to run the reception desk, but no one told you there was anything wrong with the 2 people manning it, right? We're a lower helper state, so we were told that having 2 people at the reception desk is necessary. Who gave you that order? Kenzo, Cross, or was it Leon? I will check with them. It was the one who orders me. I cannot disobey orders. Who is this person? I'll negotiate with them. You cannot negotiate. It is the one who orders us. Call Kennen over here. I hate theater going just as much as I hate torture. Slowly, Will pulled out his right hand from his pocket. When he slowly opened his fist, a small bright glow emanated from it. The flower petal given to him by Birkenstell having a glowing sparkling mark on his hand. He held that hand out towards Shannon and slowly approached her. Call Kennen. I want to check something with you too. I cannot call him. Do you still want me to? If you don't call him, I'm going to use my authority. If he you insist I can call him specially for you, but this is weird and creepy. There will visible tension between the two. Will stood there with his left hand in his pocket and his right palm blowing and stretched out towards her. Shannon just stood there, her hands still folded politely in front of her. Her posture beautiful, and yet it still felt oddly as though white when swift drops of rain were sparking and crackling in midair. I will go call Kennington. Are you absolutely certain? Will's expression remained unchanged the whole time. Shannon's face was still kind and gentle, and yet the tension was as icy as a frozen lake. Beginners in chess will sometimes move their key into check without noticing it. Or might mercilessly capture the key in a situation, but high-level players are supposed to calmly tell their opponents about their mistake. If you take one more step, you'll get captured. This was similar to that. I see. So after all, I get it. That's enough. You guys can take it in turns to run the reception desk. Slowly, Will lowered his hand. Thank you for understanding. The glow slowly vanished from Will's palm. That completely incomprehensible tension melted away like a sugar cube in water. However, nothing changed since the beginning. Will's expression and Shannon's expression were the same as they've always been. Oh, are you leaving? First let's approach them. It was Leon. Just having a casual conversation. I wanted to ask her something. What could that be? Did you find what you were looking for? Yeah. I'm honored to have been of service. That's a shame. If you were looking for an umbrella, I could have gotten you one right away. Did you convince Kenzo? I told him that a rare guest wanted to greet him. He wrote meet with you. Did you tell him I wanted to ask about Beatrice? Is that your job? With a slight mischievous look, Leon turned away. Will scratched his hand and shrugged, looking annoyed. Well, guess I'll have to get a chance to try this out at least. Will opened his right hand and showed it to Leon. It was just a hand without anything remotely remarkable about it. Leon's head tilted to the side and complimented the strange gesture. Good work. But your name was... It's Shannon. That's right, Shannon. Please take over at the reception desk and make sure you keep warm. Thank you very much, Leon-sama. Shannon bowed deeply in response to Leon's kind words. There was not even a trace of tension in her manner. Let's go, Will. You don't want to miss this chance. The head's blue changes quicker than the autumn sky. Good luck. Here we go. Okay, only 20. I'm gonna keep on going. But I will take a few minute break here, guys. I brought Willard-san. Kenzo and Gigi could be seen in the VIP room. Kenzo was sitting back in a chair, his eyes closed as though in a troubled sleep. Master, the guest has come to see you. Kenzo slowly opened his eyes. Those eyes were red from crying. Their focus slowly fell on Will. I am Ushamiya Kenzo. Will. I am Willard. Allow me to express my condolences. So you came here to attend Beatrice's funeral. Just who are you? I am no one. I have no connections with anyone. Don't think too deeply about it. You'll just get a headache. Ow. I ask that you choose your words a little more carefully. Smile. Home for the strange guest. So, what business do you have with me? I want to ask about Beatrice. What? Kenzo's gaze grew sharp. Leon felt a bit lightheaded and wondered why this guy had to be so direct. Why do you ask? You're no one, aren't you? Why do you want to know about Beatrice? What is your purpose? Because I'm no one. I can listen to your tale impartially and record it. You'll probably leave this world before too long. If you die without telling anyone about Beatrice, your children will adore Beatrice with whatever tale they plays right in their memories. You entertain me, boy. Do you plan on writing my will for me? But that is none of your business. Beatrice is my matter what other people say. No one can defile our tale. What they say is of no consequence. No matter how cross the others misconstrue it, it will be neither painful nor vexing to me. Willard Sama, the master is not fond of wills. He is sort of the man who will abandon a task so that it might be performed after his life ends. Probably true. I thought it's something a bit unlike you. The ability to struggle on as long as we have life is what makes us human. You think I will give up so soon? The neighbor behind a will? How laughably absurd. Yes, if this would sound a bit more like you. It's not your style to ask someone to write about the past just because you think your death is drawing near. We do know how deeply you love Beatrice Sama. You are the model most worthy of respect that any of us know and example for us to follow in every aspect of our lives. Please guide our wandering souls to tell us how much you loved her grandfather, how you were able to live through everything you faced because of her love. I only ask for you to guide us by showing us that love strength. It's your fault for being so tactless. Boy, what do you know of Beatrice? A truly ignorant person would have been interested in learning more. The mere fact that you know Beatrice's name shows that you are neither ignorant nor unconnected. Good point. The Beatrice I know of is the woman you love, the one you met before the mention of Rokujima was even built. However, she was probably departed from this world even by the daughter, and that's the girl who raised in Kuwadorian. Oh, Willard Sama, therefore, is a building known as Kuwadorian on Rokujima. That name, Kuwadorian, you mentioned that when you were talking with Aunt Rosa too. What in the world does that mean? You should have an idea by now. It's the name of the hidden mansion deep in the forest where his mistress's daughter lived. Interesting. So you actually know the name of the Kuwadorian and continue you sparked my interest. Kizo shrugged and grinned. The one living in Kuwadorian was probably Beatrice's daughter. However, it seems that you at least didn't think of her that way. Oh, then how... When Ushami Rosa went to Kuwadorian, Beatrice told her a little bit about herself and the conversation she referred to as Kenzo. It was the same when she spoke to you directly, though she said she thought of you as a father. She didn't call you father. She either chose not to call you that or she wasn't allowed to call you that. That could only mean one thing. And what might that be? Reincarnation. You didn't think of your daughter as a child Beatrice left behind. You believed that the dead Beatrice had revived into a new body. Genji, once in the past you spoke of him, Natsuki, and several other family members, stating that there never was a child between Kenzo and Beatrice. I have no memory of saying this. Of course, this game's Genji probably wouldn't remember that. However, near the end of the first game, when the survivors had all together and Kenzo studied Genji was asked whether Kenzo and Beatrice had ever had a child together, and he denied it, saying, I have not heard of anything like that. That may have been a lie, but in a way it was a model answer for Kenzo's confidence. After all, in Kenzo's eyes, she wasn't our daughter, but Beatrice reborn. Bill, I don't know what you're talking about, but I will not let you slander the family head. This isn't slander, it's reasoning. However, I understand the heart in your eyes. Beatrice was the woman you loved most. She remained that way even after death for all eternity without fitting in the slightest. I doubt you thought of her as Beatrice reborn at the moment of her birth. However, it wouldn't be strange if you slowly began to wonder whether that child whose blue eyes and beautiful blonde hair reminded you of a younger Beatrice might actually be Beatrice reborn. Master, shall I drag this new child out? Genji asked Kenzo. For a while, Kenzo hung his head in silence as though remembering something from his own past. Your daughter grew to be beautiful and nearly identical to her mother. You must have been ecstatic. However, I doubt you being completely satisfied by that alone. After all, though she was Beatrice born to you, she didn't think of herself that way. How could you know that? Whenever she was called Beatrice, she got this feeling she couldn't shake away, a feeling like something was out of place. People never feel anything out of place about the name they're given at the time of their birth. However, she did have that feeling. That must mean she was aware than hers. In Kuwadorian, she was asked Kenzo and Rosa about who she was. Who am I? Everyone calls me Beatrice, and that does indeed seem to be the name of a great witch, as you say. But that isn't me. I cannot use any magic. I simply have the soul of the witch sealed inside my body. Her memory would have returned eventually. She must have truly been Beatrice reborn. Her memory was coming back bit by bit. The magical ceremonies were helping her regain her memories one little bit at a time. Head-sama, there's no need to be surprised if you line up the information in the game so far. This was obviously the answer you get. The high-level Beatrice talked about this. By metaphor, she said that Kenzo refused to let the witch's soul escape even after death, and instead caught it and locked it up in the body of flesh. She also said that her power and memory had been sealed. If you match this interpretation of her theory, it all makes sense. Willard Sama. Thanks to powerful magical ceremonies, the master regained a reborn child of dead Beatrice Sama. That cannot be denied. I won't deny this story, and I don't intend to doubt the depths of Kinsley's love for this woman called Beatrice. How I managed this affection for a child whose only living reminder of her mother is no one's business. If she grew to look more and more like Beatrice, and Kinsley's love gave rise to a new special emotion. I find that very human reaction. You think you can understand my love? I'm not qualified to understand it, however, I'm also not qualified to deny it. Oh, Beatrice, please forgive me. Kenzo stopped quietly for a while, wiping away his tears. Because of love, he believed she was Beatrice reborn and raised her that way. However, somewhere in his heart, he might have felt pains of conscience telling him that he might be forcing his emotions on someone who wasn't really Beatrice. Then the Beatrice of Kuwadorian had an unexpected guest, Rosa. That woman simply couldn't believe that she was the Beatrice Kingdom's desire. She couldn't stand the fact that when she didn't understand who she was, that she wanted to escape the outside world. Then she fell from the cliff and died. Genji handled that death, which couldn't come to public knowledge, very quietly. Funerals aren't for the dead. They exist so that those who are alive can sever their ties with the dead. You can never do that. That's why it's festered within you. Beatrice, oh grandfather. You lost your mistress's daughter. No, you lost Beatrice twice. On the outside, you kept it locked up in your heart, and then eventually festered and turned to madness. That's what's spurred on your abnormally strong interest in the occult in your later years. Oh, Beatrice. Why did you leave me twice? Your smile, that beautiful hair, those eyes. Why did you die in my arms not once but twice? And then said how much, By now, Kinzo was even trying to suppress his sobs. He such a scratch at his head in anguish. Sometimes faced the heavens like an offer for a singer. Kinzo felt over and over again, repeating Beatrice's name. At that moment, there was a quiet sound of a door closing. When they turned around, she was already there. Kumasawa had appeared. If they already know that much, perhaps we could tell them the rest. Though if they know that much, I don't believe there is anything more to tell. No, we should tell them as a woman. I've always thought that the heart of Kuwadorian's Beatrice is a story that should be told, and now someone has appeared who is willing to that now is the time to tell all without holding back. Kumasawa, do you know something about Beatrice? Of course she does. In the fourth game, we have testimony from the ferry boat captain saying that Kumasawa went in and out of Kuwadorian. I'd be willing to bet that Kumasawa had different work shifts at the mansion in Kuwadorian. There was a young girl to be taken care of. Kumasawa, with her long experience to take care of children, must have been of immense value. That is correct. You might even call me her wet nurse. No way, I can't believe it. So everything Wilson is saying is the truth? Yes. It is a fact. A secret mansion was constructed on the opposite side of the island for Beatrice Sama. Kuwadorian's existence is truth. I don't know when Kirinso married his official wife, but at the time he had already had an enormous store of wealth and had bought Rokonjima Ho. He then built 2 mansions and set up 2 separate lives. Kinzo's children had also been aware of Kinzo's clandestine and eccentricities at the time. It probably had been easy to maintain 2 separate lives. More so, his wife had been suspicious and had sniffed around all the time. The Alabaster stayed in Kuwadorian as much as time was allowed. He would sometimes pretend to go on a business trip and stay there for several days, treasuring the time he spent with Beatrice Sama. And it was not a father-daughter relationship. You could sometimes catch a glimpse of his great love for the dead Beatrice Sama, and it was a heartwarming thing. The way you say it and make it sound like he sometimes treated her as a substitute for the dead Beatrice. Oh, if it sounded that way, my apologies. Beatrice Sama probably accepted her father's love. However, I will not deny that she was sometimes forced to bear a love she didn't understand. Kumasawa's tone made it sound as though she was scolding Kinzo. As a mother who raised so many kids, Kumasawa had probably spotted that Kinzo's love was sometimes misplaced. However, the more she grew to look like her mother, the more distorted and twisted Kenzo's heart became. Because of this deep love, it grew very, very twisted. You are right, and I understand. My love is eternal and undying. However, I must acknowledge that I poured that affection onto the wrong person. Grandfather, wait, you don't mean... Leon, some all humans in this world are tied to each other. Even if they do not notice, there is always some sort of tie. Those ties wrap themselves around people and bring them together. No way, Grandfather. Just as Kenzo had done, Leon also wiped tears and stared down at the floor. Apparently, the truth had been too much of a shock for the young successor to handle. Master, the time to speak has arrived, has it not? I see. So the time has come, my friend. As you tell us, none of the truth will become clear. Master, I believe that they may have the qualifications and right to know. I know, perhaps on this day of my fickle funeral, Beatrice in heaven has given me a chance to atone. Forgive me for not telling you this before now. After taking a deep lowered the hands that had been covering his face and looked at the Will and Leon with those red eyes. Grandfather, you listened to Leon, you guessed. Willard, was it? Yeah. I thank you for giving me a chance to speak of truth while I'm still able. You must surely be a messenger from heaven sent by Beatrice. You have my gratitude. Beatrice isn't the one you have to thank. It was just a witch. Well, I guess they're both witches. I do not care who it was. I have been given a chance. That is enough. Thank you, Willard. Kenzo slowly stood up and held out his right hand. He was offering to shake hands. It must have been Kenzo's way of expressing his gratitude. With Will responded, then the two hands gripped each other tightly in silence. When they did, a bright light poured out from the gap between the two hands. Will felt as though the size of a grain had burned itself into his palm. It was a power that Birkenstock had given him, but the light grew brighter and brighter. However, it seemed that Kenzo and the Now I will speak. I'm at Beatrice Castiglione. Just before the end of the war, she came from across the sea. So we got a fight last night, huh? Flashback scene, huh? Maybe, yes. Oh, whoa. Wow. Are you Kenzo? Is our grandfather looking in the past? I've seen photos. Just what on earth? It's a theater-going power that Birkenstock gave me. Don't try to understand. I'll just get a headache. You're getting the hang of this. At one time, Genji told Butler that he looked like Kenzo in his youth. Sure enough, though the young Kenzo was exactly the same as Butler, they looked very similar. Allow me to introduce myself again. I am Ushamiya Kenzo, grandfather, even though the Butler somehow. Clearly, Butler had inherited Kenzo's blood more thickly than any other. I had no desire to see the Ushamiya family headship. My being chosen as the head was something more than a prank of fate. In that great Kanto earthquake, those in charge passed away and you were selected from the branch families. That's correct. After all, grandfather was wise despite his youth and he already possessed a dignity fitting for the headship. Ridiculous. Those greedy elders kept looking out for their own personal interests and couldn't decide on a new head at all. It was foolish as arguing about who the new captain should be on a sinking ship. So since you had no connections with anyone in the maiden family, you were selected right out of the blue. It's all because of my toes. If only I had one less toe on each foot, my life may have turned out quite differently. In the Ushoria family, polydactyly was seen as a mark of good fortune. After all, many of the great ones in the family history had possessed him. It was all very pathetic. The elders didn't catch whom they drugged in as long as it would have been purely. So they just happened to hear that. So if one of the rich families had 6 toes, and decided that wouldn't do well enough. Precisely. The elders didn't care what sort of novice became the next head as long as they could make them their puppet. In fact, the more this person was ignorant of leadership, the better it would be for them. Grandfather, Leon, it was quite different in your case. You will be the one who inherits everything I have. That is the fate you were granted on the day of your birth. That is why I gave you that silver ring and raised you so strictly. You are quite different from me. You are already a splendid successor of whom no one could be ashamed. Yes, sir. A puppet for a head. I thought that could have been easy. As he pondered about where to begin, Kitchell laughed bitterly. It would probably bring back painful memories no matter where he started from. It lasted for so long that the spin out of gray days, that such a time I spent dead like moss growing on a rock. I became the rope in a tug of war between the elders who thought of nothing but their own profit, and I probably could have stopped at any moment. However, people are however, people are more resilient than one would think. Though I spent so many days as though I had been killed, I was not killed, so I was forced to search for before I realized that I had reached an age at which a young would laugh at me if I tried to call myself young. That dizzily long stretch of gray was left completely empty. It lasted for a full 20 years. In 20 years, a person can be born, find a purpose, and even become their own man with their own place in the world. In the short, if one truly becomes a human only when they have become a working adult, it has been a period of time long enough to create a human, doing nothing but play the part of those greedy elders' puppet. Ironically, though, that time aged my body and did not age my mind. My mind alone was still as young as it had been during those rich, happy days before I was summoned to Odawara, and yet my body alone grew older and older. Eventually, the vast gap between the two reached almost incomprehensible levels, so I could hardly believe that the worn-out man in the mirror was really me. Though it wasn't really me. The head of the Ushiomiya family was just a name. It had no power. It didn't require that I have any independence. There was no need for me to get involved with anything. I was just a doll sitting there in a doll rack gathering dust. I remember nothing but lazily flipping through Western books I liked, locking myself up inside my own world, doing nothing but playing with roses and drinking terrible drinks. And it lasted a full 20 years. I certainly had a wife I did not know. It was any wife I had chosen. It was the daughter of some noble family that the elders had chosen and forced on me for their own reasons. But that did not matter to me. I did not love my wife, but neither did I dislike her. I just didn't care. I fathered a few children, but that wasn't out of love for my wife. They were just born before I knew it. That's all there was to it. None of it mattered. No, that's not quite right. Everything was decided by someone other than me, and I simply obeyed it. That was the job of the Ushiomiya family head. Yes. On some level, I did feel as though I was being slowly, quietly killed. I can't believe it. To think that you, the one who has been praised for being such a bold and wise ruler, lived life like that for so long. Leon, there is something so long and famous life you do not live for yourself, and yet it slides on it by in a blink of an eye. Do not forget this. A life you live for yourself. Living means having your own will. You probably were dead during that time. Precisely, I wanted to live. No, I wanted to die. How can a puppet die? By cutting the strings. Correct, that would be death, and it would also be life, since it would mean being free. Before I realized that trouble was brewing in the world. World War II, the Pacific War, Japan had extended their warfare too far to the east and west, and the tide of war was changing. Thanks to the influence of the elders, I was able to avoid conscription. Of course, this was not out of compassion for me. It was because I was their precious puppet. So the war never really felt that close to me. However, when I was personally decided to abandon their protection, it was very easy. After that time, the Ushiomiya family had almost completely collapsed, and since the elders had apparently gathered enough of the scraps to last the rest of our lives, they seemed to care little for what I did now that they no longer had any use for me. So I realized that I had finally found my time to die, and one by one I cut the threads I was hanging from and began to search for a place to end my life. So you search for death on the battlefield. I thought that I should try to be of some use to my country, but that's a lie. I probably just lacked the willpower to end my own life. War was a suitable excuse for death. I heard that grandfather had knowledge necessary for public work projections and construction, so he was tasked with setting up the facilities for the Navy construction team. What a foolish mistake that was. If only I had just said that I had no useful skills, I could have been sent to the dangerous front lines right away. So you didn't need to go to the front lines. Some of the others were overjoyed at their luck, and just the opposite for me. I only wanted to get drunk on the liquor known as dying for the sake of one's country. The U.S. planes did nothing but cut across the skies with that forgotten land. They didn't even have a bullet to spare for me, much less a bomb. Is this time you met Beatrice's grandfather? Correct. She came to me from the sea. Where did you meet her? Did you mention an island? Yes, the island. That's where she arrived. So you met her here on Rokujima. What's going on? I heard that Rokujima was uninhabited until you bought a grandfather. I never military base here. Oh yes, you could hardly call that a military base. It was just a cave. I was one of the guards of that cave. 1944. Okay, so we'll take a quick break here. Okay, due to the honorable defeats at Saipan and Guam, Japan's absolute national defense zone strategy was in shambles, whereas the gallantry shown at Pearl Harbor gone. The old attackers were now the ones on the defensive. At the time, it was said that the last trump card for the Japanese military was a type of man torpedo known as Kaiten. It was said that the ultimate weapons, packed with the 1.55 tons of explosives, were capable of sinking any kind of warship with a single blast. The strengthened homeland defense, the Navy drafted as a plan to build a strong hidden pass bases from Hachicho Island to Yokosuka, all to the house submarines loaded with Kaiten torpedoes. I knew that there was a Kaiten base constructed on Hachicho Island, but there was actually one on Okinawa too. What fool decided it would be a good idea to plant a base on this desolate island to better preserve its secrecy? This I could never understand what the higher ups were thinking, and I didn't particularly want to. The Kaiten, which could finish off a large warship with a single strike, truly was an ultimate weapon. It was hoped that the presence of submarines capable of loading these weapons in the waters just off of Japan would allow for a powerful sea ambush as a final line of defense. So to aid in the establishment of a base with absolute secrecy, the inhabited island Wakajima was raised as a possible candidate. An investigation of the island resulted in the discovery of a large cave in the cliffs, and this was apparently deemed to be a suitable location for a submarine base. So you were tasked with aiding in the establishment of that base? Establishment, certainly, if you call digging out a cave establishment. Not only that, the base was abandoned before its completion. Why? Well, because at the time Japan no longer had any submarines large enough to transport a Kaiten torpedo. Truly laughable. What's the point in having a submarine base if there aren't any submarines left? If there's one thing that never changes, it's politicians and their meaningless projects. The base on Hachijo Island was outfitted with Kaiten base for direct attacks, but Okinawa was never supplied with any. Furthermore, the construction was eventually suspended, and a minimum number of men were stationed on the island waiting for orders from the above that never came. With the fact that it was a hidden base actually have sealed our fate, the higher had already completely forgotten about this useless and pointless cavern. We were nothing more than guards for a mere cave. We spent our days farming, fishing, and playing with the dirt, all the while gazing up at the American formations flying past, sort of. Some of our group were relieved at the prospect of the war ending before anyone remembered we were here, and before anyone decided to face the real battle. Of course, this is opposite from me. I hope for American troops to advance and kill me as soon as possible. Those days were empty and blank. Let's go back to the turning point in my life and my fate, the time that you should make it until finally became truly alive. Okay guys, well, I'm going to be ending the video here. I want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, like I said at the beginning of the video, hopefully the audio was fixed a little bit. I'll see you guys later.